Hey, Keto-SIStas. Listen, do you remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago when Rebecca told everyone that I was super grouchy, or maybe I admitted it. There's no telling, but I was,
Wrong way. We're struggling today.
Maybe I was the one that told you that I was kind of grouchy. Guys, here's the truth. This last year has been a really hard year for me. I mean, when I'm doing videos, I'm generally pretty chipper. In life, I'm usually pretty chipper, but it's been a hard year. And the last couple weeks have been just extra. And so I had a grouchy day a couple weeks ago, and I admitted that. And don't you know, I had a girls' weekend last weekend, and I was driving home from it. I was up about a couple hours away with my mom, my sister, and my two sister-in-laws, coming home around midnight on the interstate. And so I do have I never know how to say this and be disclaimer correct, but I do have a luxury car because of reaching a certain rank with Prove It. Was that good?
That's perfect.
And I love my car. I love driving my car. I drove it around all weekend. It was going to go into the shop just for some maintenance stuff, like a checkup next week. Well, I'm on the interstate at midnight Saturday night, and all of a sudden driving, and it like jolts me again. And I'm like, oh, this is really bad. I was lucky enough to get off the interstate and get parked. And then I called my husband, woke him up. He's an early go to bed kind of guy. He had to drive 45 minutes to pick me up. We had to get the car towed. So it's fine. I, always try to count my blessings. I'm thankful that I have a car that doesn't usually break down. I really do try to focus on being positive. And we have an extra car, an older car, because we do have a lot of teenage drivers. So a car is usually being worked on. So we have an extra vehicle. So I'm just driving the extra vehicle. It's an old, 2003 pickup truck. And I've been driving that around, and I felt myself a little bit getting grouchy. Like, man, I miss my car. I miss my seat warmers. I just miss my car. I love my car. And today I was having a grouchy moment. I was getting groceries. I was busy trying to fit a lot in. And I was kind of grouchy about how the groceries fit in the little tiny old pickup truck. And I was like, I always try to self-correct. Like, don't be grouchy. I try to turn it into a praise. Like, thank you, God, that I do have an extra vehicle. And don't you know, I'm not saying that God cursed me or is trying to teach me a lesson. I'm not saying that. Y'all, this is not like theology class. But as I was backing out from the grocery, the truck kind of did a similar type thing, except it made a really loud sound. And everyone in the parking lot started looking at me. It was really loud. Barely could get it reversed. The power steering, I think, is what's not working. I was able to finish reversing and drive approximately 6 spaces and park it again. And I called multiple people. No one could come and get me. So I called an Uber. When the Uber came, I got all of my groceries, 90% of my groceries into the Uber and home to make my dinner, my keto dinner, because Rebecca and I are doing the keto challenge right now. So I have a roast that I'm making with radishes. Super proud of what I'm making for dinner, a good fatty roast with radishes instead of potatoes and carrots. And don't you know, I had 2 things in my grocery that I didn't make at home. One was the roast. So here's the point of the story. There's a lot of messages in there. But one of the main points is I'm so thankful to have a friend like Rebecca, because she was on her way over here and I said, hey, can you swing by? I have hidden on the truck the key in case we need it for any reason. And can you pick up my roast? And she did. She brought me my roast. We can smell it right now cooking. And then she's going to let us borrow one of their cars because she and John both work from home.
Although after listening to this story, I'm a little afraid that she is cursed, and I'm a little worried about her being in my car.
I will be full of gratitude for your car and not bring any curses down on myself. Anyway, so it's just been kind of one of those weeks. And then something else just right before this up. Anyway.
I don't know if there's too much to even think about. It seems so normal sometimes that we don't even take note of it.
Okay, so I hope you all in the comments, let me know, are you having an awesome day, a medium day, or a day kind of like mine? Oh, this is not my favorite day.
I would love to know. Frown and your thumb from upside down.
Anyway, y'all, it's real life. So we like to let you know what is happening in our real life. That is what was happening right before we got here. Rebecca just walked in the door. I threw my roast in. We got everything situated, and here we are.
Yep. All right. So we're going to dig into kind of a keto conversation. Hey, somebody's checking in from Wisconsin. That's fun.
Nice.
We wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics, not so much Bridget's. She said she didn't really want to talk a lot today, although it's been 5 minutes and I'm just now getting to say.
But that's all I want to talk about is my car issues.
So we thought, well, maybe we talk a little bit more about science, which is kind of more something that's important to me, not as much to Bridget, because we talk a lot on here. We go live every week, and we talk a lot about the benefits of ketosis, how it's changed our lives, how it's changed our focus, our energy, our sleep. Pretty much anything in our life has been changed for the better because we have been in ketosis every day for the last 5-6 years, right? But for some people like me, it's important to understand why that is happening, how that is happening, because a lot of people think that the keto diet is a fad. They think it's something new, that it'll come out, like it's come out and it's become popular now. It'll be like passe in a year or two, but like it's really catching on steam. It's like, is that a catching on steam? That's not a thing.
No.
Catching steam.
Catching steam.
Right?
It's catching on.
I feel like her angst is rubbing off on me. But yeah, it's really catching in popularity, and people are having success with it because there is real science behind it. But I think it's important if you're trying to make a lifestyle change and you're like me, you want to understand the why behind what you're doing, because that helps you push through the hard stuff, right? Like Bridget mentioned earlier, she and I are both going through the Real Life Keto 21-day challenge as participants right now. And I'm going to say it's the first week is over, and there have been moments when I'm like, this is hard, like to be really super intentional about it. I'm pretty transparent that I'm more keto-ish, carb conscious than true strict keto. I actually had to download a carb tracking app to my phone because I've never tracked multiple days. I just don't. And so that's been an experience for me that has its challenges. But on the other side of that, I know the science behind it is real. And so it's easier for me to dig in and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this tracking for a season. I'm going to get through this challenge and do it like we teach it, because I know how important it is, and because I know that the science is behind me.
Right. I think sometimes when you are doing the keto diet, it can be easy to get a little bit grouchy. Like, oh, I want, like, especially at first, like when you still want the sugar and you have cravings and you're having to find alternates in your menus and things like that, and your recipes. I think it can be easy to maybe be a little bit negative sometimes with it. But if you know the science and really understand what's going on in your body, it really does make it a lot easier.
Yeah. And so one of the things we talk about in the challenge is just creating awareness about what you're eating. And we don't necessarily expect that most people would do a strict keto lifestyle going forward, maybe for a season, but maybe some modified form, which is what I do in my regular everyday life. But like just having that awareness, for example, I was at one of those big box warehouse places and going through, and they have all these samples a lot of the times, and a lot of the samples I was like, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, I can't eat that. So I was starting to get a little bit negative, and then lo and behold, I turned the corner and there they are with a cauliflower pizza. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited, I'm going to try this, because that's something that I'm really missing is pizza as we're going through the challenge. So I tried the little sample. I'm like, this is amazing, it's really good, they did a nice job with it. So I'm going to go, and I am a voracious label reader. I'm going to go look in the frozen section, just flip the box, look at the label, and make sure it kind of fits with what I'm going for. I cannot tell you how shocked I was when I saw how high the carbs were. I'm like, I could have a regular pizza for this.
Yeah, you think cauliflower pizza is like a magical thing, and it's just oftentimes not. There are a few.
I mean, I've made it at home before, and it was very carb friendly. But this box version, it was delicious. But I'm like, I'm not wasting my carbs on this.
No, I've actually ordered cauliflower crust from like frozen, delivered to our door, and then made the pizza from scratch because they're so much lower carb if you buy them like that online. So there's just lots of different. It's a huge learning curve. There's so many labels to read, so many things to put in Carb Manager. So it does help when you understand the science. And attack it like, this is my lifestyle. This is going to take a little while to figure out, but it's worth it because of what's happening in my body.
Yeah. So Marsha's also bought those crusts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to look for those
Yeah,
because
they are good.
the pre-made pizza, delicious as it was not cutting it on the macro percentages at all.
No.
All right.
Even close.
So that being said, we want to talk today a little bit more about the science behind the keto diet, why it's not a fad. It's been around for 100 years, basically. It was developed to be used in kids who were experiencing epilepsy. And they found by feeding them a keto diet that they actually lessened the severity and the frequency of those seizures, which is something really cool. Now, we aren't medical people. I'm not telling you this is going to prevent seizures in you or whatever, but it is important to know that that body of science has been out there for about 100 years. They've been using it for that purpose. And you want to talk a little bit about the Charlie
Yeah,
Foundation?
that's what I was going to say. So if seizures or epilepsy is something that you are battling or someone that you love is struggling with, I would just encourage you to research the Charlie Foundation. And I should have looked at this up before we got on here, but of course I was running a little late with my car challenges.
Cars
Challenges. But Charlie was someone who was, as a young boy, he was having many seizures a day. Like I think 100 or 200 seizures a day, just constant, and no medicine was helping. And they started doing the keto diet. And he had incredible results, down to maybe even no seizures or few seizures.
Well, and what's really cool is when they followed up with him as an adult, and I haven't looked into this lately, but at least for a while, he had gone off the keto diet and he still was having reduced seizures.
Yeah,
like,
it's incredible.
It kind of like broke that cycle. There's a movie about it because the boy Charlie was actually the son of a movie producer. And so he made a movie, I think it's called Do No Harm. If you know what this movie is and you can put it in the comments, that would be amazing. But Meryl Streep was in it. And it talks about their journey and how these parents were just passionate to try to find relief for their son. And they've gone to multiple doctors and tried different medicines, but a lot of the medicines have bad side effects. And so they were just relentless in trying to find something for their son. And the keto diet is something that worked. And that's why they set up that foundation to provide extra money for research and awareness for people. And it's moved from just kids with epilepsy. And there are lots of therapeutic reasons that some doctors really recommend a keto diet.
Yeah, it's interesting. So my sister was actually fostering a baby for a while who was having a lot of seizures. She had a traumatic brain injury. And eventually the doctors, as soon as she was ready to start eating foods, they put her on the keto diet. And she's like, she's known that I have been in this world for years, and she, hasn't really bought in and thinks I'm a little bit weird, which is fine. You all, if you're doing the keto diet and there are some people in your life who think you're weird and a little bit crazy, please give me like a
commiserating
like a crazy face.
something.
Yeah. Let us know, because that is a hard thing. And that's why we love our community, because people will think you're kind of strange. Anyway, she's been thinking I was strange for years. And she's like, can you believe they put this baby on the keto diet to stop her seizures? And I was like, yeah, I can. I teach this. I can exactly believe that it's real. I'm not making this stuff up.
It's so funny because, like I was telling Bridget before we hopped on here, my husband, John, who's our biggest fan, is also doing the Real Life Keto Challenge with us. It's mostly KETO-SIStas, but we occasionally have some Keto-MISTas who get in there. So he's been like gung-ho getting in there and doing it. And he keeps he watches the video. We have daily videos, daily written content, and then 2 little daily challenges. And so we both generally watch the video separately. And he comes up to me multiple times. He's like, did you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah.
I was in that video.
Yeah, we did that video. I edited that video. I watched it a million times while I edited it. Yeah, I did kind of know that.
Yes. So that is where the keto diet really kind of originated. And it was early on in the 1900s, was for children with epilepsy as the main area that it was used. And then it started being used for other therapeutic reasons. The health benefits of the keto diet started becoming known, but it still was not a very, very well-known thing throughout the 1900s. I would say really all the way through the 1900s, really until the 2000s.
Really, because if you think about in our culture, what have we been taught about nutrition? and what has been vilified, right? Fat has been vilified, cholesterol has been vilified. So you can understand why the keto diet is really, it was not at the forefront of people's minds. And when it did come up, people were like, that's not healthy. You can't eat bacon and butter. That's
Right.
going to kill you.
Thinking it was only for extreme, like if you had epilepsy or had an extreme need that you were trying to work through.
Yeah. But if you love science like I do, and you have maybe a medical condition, or you have a friend who has a medical condition, or a family member, I would just encourage you to just get on the internet and do searches for ketosis and whatever it is, Alzheimer's, ketosis in diabetes, ketosis in Parkinson's, like those different things, because there is more and more research that's coming out for applications of the keto diet to specific conditions. And it's really exciting to watch that and to be part of a company. You all know that we're associated with Prove It, who came up with exogenous ketones that you can drink. So powders that you shake up and drink, and it gets you into ketosis so that you can experience those benefits. Because of Prove It and the popularity of that product, because it does make it easier to get into ketosis and to stay there, like it's become more of a buzzword. Like the keto diet has gotten so popular. It used to be really hard when we got started 5 or 6 years ago to find keto products that were marketed as keto products. Now you go
Almost
into a store
non-existent.
and there'll be a whole section. Now that's not to say that everything in that section is truly keto, but by golly, it's a popular marketing buzzword now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, think back to 10 years ago. Had you ever even heard the word keto? I remember when Rebecca first called me so excited about what she was learning with this research. And she was talking about ketosis, ketogenic, and these are words I had never heard before. But now, it is everywhere. And that is thanks to the research that Prove It has done that has made it just a more common thing. But we wanted to talk through what is actually happening in your body when your body goes into nutritional ketosis, and how did Prove It replicate it? Like if you're doing the keto diet, which I assume if you're watching this, you're doing some form of the keto diet, you know how hard it is to keep your carbs under 20 net carbs. Like that is a big challenge, especially when you're getting started. And some people, it takes weeks to get into nutritional ketosis. And to be able to achieve that through just a powder is really quite a breakthrough to think about what your body has to go through in order to get into nutritional ketosis. But basically, when you really kind of starve your body of these sugars and carbs, you're not starving yourself, you're starving your body of the sugars, then your body creates what's called beta hydroxybutyrate, and it's BHB for short. And it's a really long word that I still can't really spell.
Listen to her rocking the science. This is great.
You're so happy. But BHB is what your body produces when you extremely limit your net carbs. It creates that beta hydroxybutyrate, and that's what puts your body into nutritional ketosis. That's what's created there.
Right. So what your body is actually doing, it's breaking down fat, either fat that you're consuming because you aren't eating the carbs and the sugars, or your own body fat, which is why people tend to have great fat loss on a keto diet, because your body breaks down that fat. When it breaks down and metabolizes that fat, a byproduct of that is beta hydroxybutyrate ketones. There are some other ketones too, but BHB is the one that we talk about. It's the one that's in this product. So when you have ketones in your body, it fuels your mind. It's like the super fuel. It really gives you extreme focus, great energy. You sleep well at night. It's just, it puts you in an optimal state. And so that's the result that people are chasing. What's really cool about this product is you can get those results without having to really restrict your diet.
Yes. So beta hydroxybutyrate. What else do you want to say about that? Anything?
Well, I would love to talk a little bit. I know we're getting deep in the science, but it got me so excited that she was talking about it. And now I feel like I can talk about it
bringing
even
out
more.
that word. Now you can take it from me.
Right. So we talked about epilepsy in children and how the keto diet was used to help them. Well, there have also been scientists who've tried to study for like the Navy SEALs when they do their extended, very deep, very long dives. They would like have seizures. They would have trouble performing because their body was going through this extreme pressure and for long periods of time. And so they found out, hey, if we feed them a keto diet, we get them keto adapted, they don't experience those seizures as often, and then they can perform at a higher level, which is obviously what you want for your Navy SEALs. However, it's a very, very difficult, stringent diet. The Navy SEALs didn't like it, but it was also really hard to do when you are out on assignment, right? You don't exactly have everything that you want to eat right there at your fingertips. And for nutritional ketosis that you get through, like getting your body there, stress can knock you out of it. So even if you're eating an exactly perfectly aligned diet, if you're under high stress, it can knock you out of ketosis where you aren't creating those ketones. Well, I can imagine that a Navy SEAL on assignment might be under a little bit of a stress. So they started experimenting giving ketone esters, which were like super concentrated forms of ketones, to the Navy SEALs. Lo and behold, same results. Fewer seizures of less severity. But apparently, I've never tried a ketone ester. It tastes like airplane fuel, like motor fuel, like not a good thing. Now, a Navy SEAL can pretty much, in my book, do anything. So they could do it, but it was hard, right? It wasn't very palatable. It was really hard on their GI system. So they started binding ketones to salts, and that was much more palatable, not quite as strong, but they kept experimenting with it until they still got the results they wanted, but it didn't have like those negative GI effects on the Navy SEALs. And
so
that
that's
is
kind
the
of where it
science
started. Yeah.
on which this is based.
Yes. I will never forget when Rebecca first started telling me all this and about the keto diet. And she's like, even just eating a grape can knock you out of ketosis because there is so much sugar and carbs in a grape. So if you are doing the strict keto diet, I would love to know, because we want to like say a huge shout out to you, because it is tough, and that is what we are working on in the challenge right now. But it gives me a whole new appreciation for exogenous ketones and using intermittent fasting and other ways of getting into ketosis, even if it's not nutritionally, so that we can experience the benefits of ketosis.
Right, because the benefits, we can all agree that they're amazing, but there are lots of different ways to get there, and we talk about those all the time on this show. So we talk about how you can drink them, how you can do intermittent fasting, how you can do extreme exercise, and how you can get your macros exactly right. And we help people find a way that's good for them going forward. So some people like strict, some people like ketones, some people don't. Some people like to exercise, some people don't. Some people like fasting, some people don't. We can help you find a fit that's right for you.
Yes, and that's awesome. Shout out to you for doing 20 carbs or less, because it's a really big deal. And I think sometimes when you're doing it and the people around you might not be cheering you on or realizing how amazing you are to be doing that. So well done. Anyway, we just wanted to kind of give you a little background on the keto and the keto, like how the century or over a century progression that it has gone through. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So thank you for indulging me in a little bit of a scientific
with our
discussion
science.
today.
But that's it for now.
Go create your best life.